Hey sis, hey, you are tuned into 101 TKO Radio, and this is the She Wins Radio Show with your favorite coach Andromeda coming to you live for the final time this Tuesday. Listen, y'all, I am so excited to be here with you all today. I am so thankful for the opportunity to share my voice on this platform with you today. I am so thankful for all of you who have tuned into She Wins Radio over the last 4 months. Those of you who have called in, those of you who have watched and commented live on YouTube and Facebook. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being part of this experience with me. It has been a great time. But today is the last and final show here for She Wins Radio. So I know some of you were like, what? The final show? Yes. You all have seen that we have, or heard rather, this song that we just played is Transitions by Diane Malloy. And so that is the theme of today's show, embracing life's transitions, right? Sometimes we don't know what plans God has for us. Sometimes we don't know when seasons are going to end. Sometimes we don't know when it's going to be time for us to move on to other things. And so that is what I am embracing today, is life's transitions, right? And I hope that you all will do the same, because here's the thing that stops a lot of us from trying new things. It's because we always want to try to predict what the future will be, right? And if we can't see that it's going to be insanely successful, or if we can't see that other people are going to support us, then we won't even try it at all. Also, we disqualify ourselves from trying new things because we tell ourselves, oh, I don't have experience doing that. I'm not qualified to do that. And so I want you all to be inspired by my journey, because again, I'm so grateful to be here, right? I never in my life imagined that I would be a radio personality. It wasn't on my vision board for 2024, right? Or 2023 when I first started this journey. This is something that was presented to me as an opportunity. I leaned all the way into it. And so now that I've had this experience, I've got to enjoy it, and I've learned so much from it. I am going to take everything that I learned from this experience to continue to empower and uplift women in a multitude of ways. So I just want to say thank you to 101 TKO Radio. Thank you to Chelsea Speaks. Thank you to Nelson. Thank you to the 101 TKO Radio team for welcoming me into your space, providing me this platform, and for just giving me this opportunity to, again, amplify my voice here in this space. I do not at all take it for granted, and I thank all of you who have been listening and tuning in and supporting me on this journey. So, Transitions by Diane Malloy. Again, that's the topic of today's conversation, is transitions, right? You all may have heard life is full of ebbs and flows, right? Ups and downs. Sometimes you feel like you're alone on this journey, but don't give up. And so I want to invite Diane to the conversation. She is here. Okay, sis is here on the phone. And I'm going to ask her some questions about this song, what inspired her to write it, sing it, all of the good things, so that we can get some inspiration from her today about transitioning with grace through life. Diane, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sis. How you doing?
Hey, sis. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm okay. God is good. I'm okay. How you doing?
I am doing good. I feel the same. God is good. God is great. His plans are amazing.
There you go.
And so
there you go.
And I want to say that even with me reaching out to you to say, like, I wanted to play your song to kick off my final show. Like, I just believe that was all part of God's plan too, right? Like, I'm like, here I am with a radio show. I have a sister who has an amazing song that I think I've told you before stays on my playlist. Like, it is on my gospel playlist. I'm listening to that song on days when I am feeling maybe a little bit discouraged, or life is lifing, right? Like, God is switching things up and moving things around. And I'm like, what are you doing? So I listen to this song in those moments. And so I just felt like it just dropped in my spirit. Like, this is how I want to close out my final show, is playing this song and talking to you, and helping other women to, again, move through life gracefully through life's transitions. Like, just because one door closed doesn't mean another one's not going to open. It doesn't mean that God forgot about you. It doesn't mean that God's abandoning you. It doesn't mean any of that, right? So
that's it.
I would love for you to share some inspiration behind. Well, no, before we do that, how about I just let you introduce yourself to the people? I know who you are, but they may not know.
Okay, okay. Well, first off, I want to say thank you so much. I'm so very honored that you would choose me and choose this song for your transition off of the show and into what God is going to do, incredible things that God is going to do next. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say hello and pop in real quick. My name is Diane Malloy. I am a singer, songwriter, artist out of New York City. And the song that you heard just a few moments ago was actually written by myself and three other individuals: Christopher Sims, Angela Monique, and Tony Lee. So that was my first official co-write collaboration. So it's near and dear to my heart, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes. I hope you all enjoyed. Listen, y'all have to go download that song like right now. It's on Apple Music. Where else can they download it, sis?
Oh man, it's everywhere. Apple Music, it's on Spotify. We have it on YouTube. I actually have an official video to go with the song too. So you guys can check that out for the visual. Yeah, it's I believe it's on Amazon as well. All the places, everywhere that you could stream music is there.
Yeah, so y'all go download this song again. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I keep me a playlist for a lot of things. I have a workout playlist. I have a playlist when I need to be reminded about how good God is. I have a playlist
You
when I'm
got
having
to.
those discouraging moments. Like, music is, to me, it's like life. I believe that God has given people the gift of music to be able to create music because historically it has been something that has helped people to overcome, to find joy, to connect with one another, to relate, to find out that they're not alone. And so I think that
Yes,
you say that in your
absolutely.
song, right? Like, you're not alone, don't give up.
Hmm. Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
And when I listen to your song, I think that it's a reminder. It reminds me too that I'm not alone because, especially in the world that we live in today, depending on how you have set up your social media feed, you might have this idea that everybody else is living this wonderful, amazing life where they're not experiencing any struggles at all, and every day is a happy day. But I
Right.
think that having
Hmm.
songs like this, like yours, are a reminder to us that life is full of ebbs and flows and ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely. I try when I write, I try to write from a place that's very transparent, very very relatable, but also that still gives the space for hope to let you know that, like, yes, these things are very real. You're gonna experience the ebbs and flows of life for certain. No one escapes it. But there's also hope beyond that, a hope that comes from God and God alone, that is bigger than ourselves and it's bigger than the things that we go through. And I pray that when I write and I sing these songs, that message comes across and folks are encouraged.
Yes. And so when you think of the word transition, like, what does that mean for you?
Oh man, it is change that is sometimes unexpected, or sometimes we can, slightly brace ourselves for it. But it is a flow of things. It is the flow of life that things don't stay the same. They say that the one thing that you can guarantee about life is that there will be change. So as much as maybe we would want to hold on to a thing, love a thing, or maybe even the opposite end of it, hate a thing, there will be change eventually in all of these circumstances. So that's what transitions means to me.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. You made a good point. Like, change is inevitable. And I think that we hurt ourselves more when we try to hold on to things past the season that God has called for us to be
Yeah,
in, right?
absolutely,
Like,
definitely.
I can
Hmm.
definitely remember, in my youth, and I would dare even say, like, up until the last maybe couple of years, I have definitely been one of those people who would, lose my mind about transition and change. Like, God, why no? I thought it was supposed to be forever. I thought that this was something I was going to be able to continue to do, or this was going to lead me to some sort of breakthrough or whatever the case may be. And I would just like really get so down and discouraged. But now I have learned to embrace transition because in my life, when I look back over my journey, there's never been a time where God closed a door and didn't open another one. Like never. Can you
There you
relate to
go.
that?
Hmm.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes, like you said, we try to hold on, or we look back on things that have passed, like the glory days and things like that, but not realizing that there's greater that lies ahead. And certain times, the things that we're getting ready to transition out of, they were seeds to plant what is to grow and what is to come. Nothing that we do is at a loss. Like God uses all things to work together for our good. So even when we have to let go, we don't have to do so with continuous sorrow. Yes, there's times that we can grieve a thing, but we can also look forward to hope that there's something on the other side of that that we cannot see that is laid up for us.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I think when you carry that belief in your heart, you can transition with more grace, which is the theme for today's show is embracing life transitions and learning how to transition with grace, right? Sometimes we like, let's just say, I actually was talking to a friend the other day and she went out looking for another job. She got hired for another job. She gave her notice to her job that she was leaving, and her boss basically turned into like this monster. Like he's now being salty and shady. He's, talking bad about her to other
Yeah.
employees. And it's like, when you have that type of mindset, like that change isn't supposed to happen, then you respond to change in a negative way versus being able to say, I appreciate that this person has worked for me for 6 years. She has dedicated
Right.
her life to me for
Exactly.
6 years, and I'm so appreciative of all that she brought to this space. Let me send her off with love. Instead, I'm going to send her off with anger because I'm mad that she's leaving in a time when I didn't expect her to.
Yeah, exactly. And funny thing is, like, we don't own people. You know what I mean? Like, God says, like, He knows the plans He has for us, right? So, like, God has a plan for each and every individual and a path that they need to take. And sometimes it takes us off guard, we may be, it may be a little bittersweet for us. Or what have you, but we don't have to, be shady and kind of act up. Like you said, we could show appreciation for that person and just wish them well on their journey. And you never know, like, how it may come back around.
Yeah.
When you do things well and leave with grace, and or you send people off with a blessing, you never know, like, how your paths can cross again and maybe give opportunity for better and bigger ways to work together in the future, or for somebody to put in a good word for you or what have you. So we are to do things in the way that they should be done.
Yes, that's so good, sis. That's like food for the soul. I wish everybody could hear that message right now because I know that some people are like in the middle of a crossroad right now. Like, oh, I feel like this relationship is over. I feel like this friendship is over. I feel like this time at this job is over, and they are battling with themselves both because sometimes we battle to stay, right? Because we're like, I don't want to deal with the confrontation. I don't want to have to leave. I don't want them to be mad at me. And then also we're worried about what the response is going to be, right? Like we are worried about the fallout after we make a decision. But I think that if everybody understands, like you said, no one belongs to anybody. So God is all leading us on a path to where He wants us to be. And so sometimes that means that our paths are going to cross for a season, and then sometimes He's going to separate us, and He may bring us back. But the thing is, like you said, if you end that relationship, you burn that bridge, nobody's ever going to be able to walk back over it again.
Right. Oh, wow. That last line was so powerful. Yep. Definitely summed it up well.
That's so good. I know that you are a busy lady. I wanted to ask you, can you think of a time in your life where you had to experience a transition that was difficult for you, and you were able to see once you got on the other side that God's plans were perfect?
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. So a nice little backstory on this song, and in particular the video that I mentioned before. The video is actually based around like my true life story, where I had just had like my son, and I started to go back to work, and then I got laid off not too long after that. And like, if you know, these days, like, it's very hard to just live on one income.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, me and my husband were like trying to figure out, how are we going to make this work? What are we going to do? And so like my unemployment was running out. I had, my options were few. And I remembered that I had an email address for a temp agency. So I
Mm-hmm.
reached out to them, and they set me up with this temp job initially, and I had did that for a little while, but it didn't really work out. But the with the client, but the temp agency kept me on, and they actually ended up placing me at the job that I've been at for like the last 5.5 years.
Wow.
But the funny thing is, in the beginning of that, I didn't see that. I didn't see how it was all going to pan out, how it was all going to work out. But God has a way of seeing ahead of us,
Mm-hmm.
and ordering our steps. And the thing that I look back a lot about that is, if the first job that they had placed me at did not let me go exactly when they let me go, and they actually let me go a few days before Christmas. So it was like, imagine that, really depressing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That is.
but if they had not let me go when they had let me go, I wouldn't have been able to be available for the other position that I'm now in.
Wow.
So like, God knows the timing. He knows what to do, how to move you, and where to place you in good time. So yeah.
Ooh.
So I have definitely seen transitions throughout my life. I could probably write a book about it.
Yes, it's true. I think we all probably could if we're being honest with ourselves. But that is so good. It makes me think about also sometimes we don't want to close doors before we can see the other one open, right? And so what you just said just now makes me
Mm,
think about how like that door closed and you couldn't see where another one was going to open. You didn't know what was going to be ahead of you, and that was really crazy. I think that sometimes also
yeah.
God calls us to close doors. Like in the situation you said, somebody basically, like God basically closed the door on you. But have you ever had a moment where God was calling you to actually close the door before you could see what was going to come from that?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's definitely been times with that too. Even sometimes, unfortunately, even with friendships, where like you have to kind of say goodbye to people that maybe have been a part of your story for years. But then when you like, you reflect. Like, there was a time for like about 2 years, I did like therapy for like almost like a weekly or biweekly thing, and it began to uncover a lot of stuff that like I hadn't really realized about myself, and even lack of boundaries that I was having in my own life with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I did have to let go of some things and some people. But the beautiful thing about that is, like, I was worried about, like you said, like the backlash, and
Mm-hmm.
what they would say, how they would feel, how even I would feel. But on the other side of it, there was so much peace.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're holding on to something that you shouldn't hold on to, like you said earlier, like, and it's hurting you,
Mm-hmm.
you really have to know, like, when it is time to kind of let it go,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can obtain and walk in that peace, that freedom, that God always intended for you to have, and not be so burdened down, and not necessarily what God told you to carry. And on the other side of that, like, I connected with other people that were able to be more reciprocal in relationship and walking through with me. Yeah, so definitely, that's one of the times that I had to let go. But in the end, like, I started to see like the good fruit that came from it.
Yes. Ooh, that is so, 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 so good. I don't think we could ever get tired of hearing testimonials and reminders like this. Like, because I think that no matter how long we live, even in this moment where I feel like, okay, like I'm so much better when it comes to dealing with transitions and changes, there's still gonna be things I think in some point in my journey where it's gonna catch me up and I'm be like, no, God, why?
Oh
Why
yeah,
you
no
do
doubt.
this?
It's a given.
Yeah. So we have to, I think it's just so, it's food for the soul when we have conversations like this and we can be reminded from others that like life is going to change. Like don't fret, don't worry. God has a better plan for you. Is there any particular things that you do in moments of like change and transition? Because we know that it's uncomfortable. Like it's always uncomfortable when you're transitioning. Are there any particular things that you do in those moments to kind of help you stay uplifted and encouraged?
Yeah, like there's several things that I try to do and try to remember. One is to just look back. Like, sometimes, a lot of times they say don't look back, but sometimes you have to look back to see where you come from, and to gain strength from those things. Like if I saw in my past, if I see in my past that God's track record with me is good, then I have to believe that that's not just going to switch up all of a sudden. Like he's going to get it just like he got me through that hard time before, and the time before that, and the time before that. He's going to get me through this too. So I try to look back on those things to be encouraged. Definitely listening to uplifting music, and messages. Because the things that we feed our soul with is like that's the thing that's going to grow and increase within us, especially in these times. So if you don't deposit good seed within yourself, then when the storms come and the trials come, it's going to be very hard to withdraw anything that will keep you afloat. You know what I mean? So I try to do those things, and just be around good, kind-hearted people, that can give you a laugh when you need it, or to be a shoulder when you need it. Folks like yourself and the ladies and sisters from She Wins and things like that. Get around good people. And definitely, staying connected with God and my relationship with Him, and just, trying to just be encouraging to know that like it's not gonna last. Like I'm gonna get through it.
Yes, sis. Come on. This is so good. You just made me think about too how sometimes we can delay like our transition. We've heard, I'm sure you've heard before, like the saying you have to grow through what you go through. But sometimes
Yeah.
we delay our transition because we throw in a tantrum. Like instead of us continuing to move
Mm.
forward through that storm or through that difficult moment or through that trial or through that lesson, we dig our heels in, we fall out, we on the ground, we laid out in the bed. Like we are waiting for the storm to pass, but the storm is not going to pass. You got to walk through the storm.
Right, right, right. It's so true. It's so true. Like, I mean, I'm just looking back, like even in scripture when it talks about how like the promised people, they were supposed to only um go through for a very short amount of time, and they ended up spending 40 years in that joint because they did not listen, and they did not, take from the lesson what they were supposed to take from it. So what could take you shorter, be very conscious not to hold yourself up and make the journey longer for yourself.
Right. Just you got it. You have to keep going no matter how dark it looks, no matter how tough it feels. Like you cannot give up. And I just keep going back to that's what you say in your song. Like it's you might feel alone, like things are gonna get difficult, but you can't give up. You cannot give up. It's not an
Hmm.
option. Giving up is not an option.
Yes, there you go. It's not. It's not.
Yes. So Diane, do you have anything coming up that we should know about? Any other songs that we should be downloading?
Oh man, well, okay, so I'm hoping to gear back up in the spring. I've been taking a little hiatus and stuff, trying to get some things together, because this music thing is expensive. And I had did a lot prior to that, but I do have things that folks can check up with. I do have about 4 singles that you can catch up with, and 2 videos that you can watch in the meantime. But I'm definitely always trying to do things in regards to like events and things like that. So I'll catch up with me, guys. Keep connected on my social media. Keep your eyes open there at Diane Malloy Music, and I tend to share a lot of stuff there.
Yes, so good, sis. I just want to say that I'm so proud of you. I've been knowing you for quite some time, and I've seen you on this journey of putting out your music to the world, and you haven't given up. And I can only imagine how tough it is. I mean, anything that you do when you have big goals and dreams and you're trying to operate in your gifts and purpose, sometimes people have this illusion that it's supposed to be easy or that it's supposed to be fast or you're going to be an overnight success or whatever the case may be. But
Right.
I have seen you
Hmm.
continue to push along, continue to share your music, continue to I don't know behind the scenes. I'm sure like everybody else you probably have some discouraging moments, but despite that you still continue to move forward. And so I am definitely looking forward to the day when you arrive to whatever it is that you envision in your mind that you will be when it comes to your music. And I'm believing that is ahead of you. It's coming.
Thank you so much, sis. I really received that, and once again, I want to thank you for even giving me this time and giving me the honor to kind of usher you out. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you again, Diane. All right, y'all. So y'all make sure that y'all download Transitions by Diane Malloy. Make sure that you follow her at Diane Malloy Music. And also you can check out Transitions video and some of her other music on YouTube as well. Thank you again for joining me today, Diane.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. So you all this has been a good conversation. I hope that you were taking some notes from Diane. I hope that you will download her song. Like I said, it's on my playlist. I think that I'm probably going to share my playlist with my email list in the coming weeks for those who are just kind of in the middle of transition. Like these songs will definitely get you through. But Transitions by Diane Malloy is definitely on that list. It was on repeat the whole time that I was driving here. So it's definitely a good song. If you missed it, if you came in a little late and didn't hear it at the top of the show. How are we doing for time tonight? We need a break. All right, y'all. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to continue this conversation about embracing transitions. And I have some tips and testimonies to share with you to help you to transition with grace. This is She Wins Radio Show on the 101 TKO Radio.
You're fired. Fired. These are 2 words no one wants.
Happy Women's History Month. I don't think I said that to you already. You are tuned into 101 TKO Radio, and this is the She Wins Radio Show, y'all. I'm so excited to be here with you. We are having an amazing conversation today about embracing transitions. If you are currently in a transition, if you are in a moment or a season in your life where things are changing, I just want to encourage you to get excited, sis. Get excited. Get excited. Listen, that is what growth is. Growth is change. You cannot experience growth without change, without transition. So get excited. I know that things might be looking unfamiliar for you right now. I know that it might look like darkness is ahead. I know that you might feel like you are uncertain about your future, but get excited, sis, because listen, you're still here and God has never left you, right? He's never left you from the time that you were conceived to now. So know that He is still with you, even in these moments where you are uncertain about what your future looks like. He knows exactly what your future looks like, and He has promised you hope and a future. Okay, so get excited. Okay, you cannot get to your next level, you cannot get to your next breakthrough, you cannot get to those things that you're praying for without experiencing change. And we just finished listening to Janet Jackson, and I was just saying how, like, oh my gosh, this era of music was so good. It definitely had us dancing. Music songs were so much longer than what we're used to now. But it also made me think about her brother Michael, right? And if we think about in the entertainment world, the numerous of people that we have seen who have transitioned from one thing to another and experienced a massive amount of success is like so inspiring to see, right? Now, would we know Michael Jackson the way we know Michael Jackson had he stayed a part of the Jackson 5? I do not think so, right? We would not have been able to see him shine the way that he shined in his life and to be able to fully express his talent if he had remained a part of the Jackson 5, right? And we can think about that. That same thing applies to our good sis Beyonce, which I have to say, I celebrate her because Beyonce is not afraid to transition into things. Again, I shared earlier in the show that some of us, we don't try new things because we are afraid of what that might look like or what other people would say or if we're going to be successful. But that is what life is about, y'all. Life is about trying new things. Life is about transitioning into other things. Life is about following your heart. Life is about being obedient when God tells you to move. And so we miss out on so many opportunities to just live life fully because we say, oh, this is what I'm used to. I've been a part of, if Beyonce said, I've been a part of Destiny's Child all my life, and I have this loyalty to these women, and I can't see myself doing anything outside of Destiny's Child because I don't want them to be mad if I leave. I don't want them to be mad if I go solo, whatever. We would not know Beyonce the way we know her today. Some of us are literally keeping ourselves inside of boxes and in spaces that God is calling us to move out of so that we can experience greater. Sometimes you experience certain things as a trial period, as a moment for you, as a training ground, right? Like Destiny's Child, this is what I believe, was Beyonce's training ground. It was for her to get her foot into the industry. It was for her to be able to grow in her craft. It was for her to be able to also create an opportunity for others to develop. Because we just saw that Kelly Rowland was in Mea Culpa, right? So it's a training ground. It was there for a purpose in a season, but we have to learn how to move on when God is calling us to move on. Also, I wanted to share this too. So y'all know I love a good transparent moment. For those of you who are listening, who have asked like, oh, why is this your last show on 101 TKO Radio? Why is this your last She Wins radio show? So listen, y'all, God has put so many things on my plate this year. And if you all first noticed, when I first started the show in November, I was hosting the show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And as we got closer to 2024, I started to see like, okay, God is increasing these things in my life. He's giving me all these other visions. And so I was like, okay, I don't have the capacity to do 2 shows a week. So I took it down to just Tuesdays. And now God has just kind of put these things in my life, provided all these different opportunities to where I don't have the capacity to host the show every week and show up with excellence for the 101 TKO radio team the way that I want to. So remember when I said earlier that sometimes you can stay in spaces too long and it will not only just hurt you, but it will also hurt the people that are around you. And so if you want to transition with grace, you have to be able to be honest with yourself and others when you no longer fit in that space in a way that's going to make everybody successful or satisfied with you being there, right? And so for me, it was, I don't have the capacity to show up in the fullness of how I need to show up as a radio personality. And because God has given me numerous amounts of signs that this season had a purpose. I learned from this season. I created some really great connections in this season. Not to mention, you all, I had questions in my mind when I first moved to Atlanta. And I feel like me getting this opportunity was a confirmation from God, like, okay, you're where you're supposed to be. So this show served a purpose in my life that I am extremely grateful for. However, God is calling me to move to something else. And not when he say move to something else, he's just calling me to focus my attention on some other things. And so that's why I'm moving on. And it's bittersweet for me because honestly, I would do my show forever. Like, I love this space. I love being here, but I refuse to stay beyond the time that God wants me to be here because I don't want to taint the space, right? I don't want to make it uncomfortable for myself or other people. I don't want to not show up with excellence. And so I don't know who that might resonate with today, but if you are currently, you've signed up for something or you've subscribed to something or you're a part of something and you know that whatever's going on in your life right now, you would probably bring in more harm than good to that space because you don't have the capacity or because you have things going on. I encourage you to transition with grace, right? We have to be able to be grown enough to be able to say like, okay, the season is up and there's no hard feelings and there's nothing, I don't want to hurt anybody, but it's time for me to go. And so that's something that we all have. I want us all to, again, embrace transitions in life because you will hold up your blessings by trying to stay in places beyond the time that you are supposed to be there. And I do have some amazing things coming up. If you have been following She Wins Society, if you are on the email list at shewinsociety.com, then you know that we have our Romanticize Your Life retreat that is coming up in June 7th through the 10th in Kissimmee, Florida. We only have 3 rooms left for that. We have our cruise retreat, our 7th annual Relax or Release retreat coming up. We have Stepping into Sisterhood, the ultimate virtual experience happening this month on March 24th, Sunday, March 24th. I'm still speaking at the Women Are Dope experience, which I'm so excited about, which, oh my God, y'all, like that event, me and Naya were just talking about how quickly it came around. Like, I blinked my eyes and now we're literally almost 30 days away from this event. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, by the way, to the Women Are Dope experience, like, okay, so I know you might have been procrastinating. I know we always think we got more time, but sis, get your butt in gear and get your ticket, okay? I want to also give away 2 tickets. So if is anybody who is listening right now who is going to be in the Atlanta area, who wants to travel to the Atlanta area on April 20th, 2024, and wants to come and meet me and be in a positive and empowering space for other women, I definitely encourage you to call in right now, 678-439-7419, 678-439-7419. Call in and claim your free ticket to the Women Are Dope experience. It's happening on April 20th, 2024 in Stonecrest Mall at the Privy Building. Okay, so it's going to be an amazing thing. By the way, the Privy Building is lit over here, y'all. So every time I come over here, it's something new going on. All right, it is really lit over here at Stonecrest Mall. If you are in Atlanta, I encourage you to find your way over to Stonecrest Mall at some point because they have so many amazing things happening here at Privy. I just saw on their social media the other day that Rick Ross was in the building. They're actually filming a movie out here in the parking lot, y'all. So this is a really amazing things happening. And I look forward to, even though I'm not going to be on the station anymore, I definitely look forward to continuing to support what's happening over here because amazing things are happening. Even 101 TKO Radio is continuously growing. I came into the station today, I saw that we have some new people who are hosting shows. I see they've updated some things outside and inside. So it's a beautiful thing that is happening. And I hope that you will, despite me not being on the show anymore, I hope that you will continue to support 101 TKO Radio, continue to encourage others to download the app, continue to tune into the other shows because they are also all great. And so this is what I mean too about transitioning with grace. Let me tell y'all something. People are watching you. When you go through challenges in life, when you transition, when things are happening for you, people are paying attention how you handle that. They are watching. And you get to be either an inspiration for others or not. And so one of the people that comes to mind is my good sis, Rhonda Brunson. Rhonda was diagnosed with breast cancer a couple of years ago. And although I'm quite sure that was a very difficult time of her life, I mean, she expressed that it was a difficult time in her life. She took us through the journey from her diagnosis to her being able to ring that bell and say that she's cancer free. And at no point in that journey did she say that she was angry with God. At no point in that journey did she become a bitter person. At no point in that journey did she not move with grace. And so she's one of those inspiring people to me, because if a person can experience something like being diagnosed with cancer, we all know how we get when things happen in life that we didn't expect or we don't want to happen to us. We ask that question, God, why me, right? And oftentimes we'll feel like God is abandoning us. We'll feel like God has forgotten about us. We'll feel like God is punishing us. But this is the thing about our lives, you all. We are all here to be inspiring to other people. And so our testimonies and the struggles that we go through and the challenges that we face, they're not just for us. They are meant for us to inspire other people through those things. And so you have a choice every day when you're going to face challenges. That's without question. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what level you rise to. I don't care what circle you're part of. I don't care what kind of platform you have. I don't care how many followers you have. We are all going to experience struggles, challenges, adversity, moments of growth, moments of change, moments of a transition. We are all going to experience that in life. And so we get the choice to say, I'm going to transition. I'm going to move with grace, or I'm going to get bitter. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to be a hurt person who hurts people. I'm going to take this stuff out on other people. I hope that we will choose to move with grace. And how you move with grace is, one, understanding that what's happening to you might not necessarily be what's happening to you. It's what's happening for you. If you listen to any successful person that you admire who has been transparent about their journey, they will tell you that those transitional moments were those moments that they needed to go through in order to get to the place where they've arrived to, that you are so admirable about. They needed those moments, right? Oprah had to go from being a newscaster and getting fired, or a news anchor and getting fired from that job, to get her daytime television show and to have Oprah magazine and all of those things, right? Think about Kevin Hart, stand-up comedian, to being a whole movie star, right? The Rock, he went from being WWF to a whole movie star. Steve Harvey, same, comedian, to being on Family Feud and having his own talk show and all these things. And so, again, some of us are so afraid of transition. We despise change. We don't want to go through it, but we have to. It's a requirement to get the things that you are praying for. So now I do get excited about transition because, like I said earlier, God has never closed a door for me and not opened another one, ever. He's never told me to move or to make a change without then providing me with a reason for me to understand why that needed to happen. So if you are experiencing a season where you feel like God is telling you, like, okay, you're going to have to quit that job. It's time for you to quit that job. These people have not been being nice to you. They don't value you. They don't appreciate you. You're not going to be able to grow here. They keep overlooking you for promotions. You're very uncomfortable here. It's causing you anxiety and stress. If you feel that, but you're refusing to move because you don't have another job yet, because you can't see where the open door is, listen. Sometimes you have to close one door before you will see the open one. Sometimes you have to create space for what you're praying for to show up. And so I just really want to encourage us, like, you have to learn how to walk in faith and also just be obedient. Like, we know when God is saying your time is up in a space. It starts to get uncomfortable. It starts to get insanely uncomfortable. But again, we try to stay there and then we cause ourselves more harm, and then we create more confusion. When if you would just leave and create space, then you will see more blessings show up in your life. As a life coach, I have also had these conversations with women, because I had a client before who she was feeling like, she wanted to be in a different relationship. However, she was still holding space for a past relationship, a relationship that had expired. Like, This, you know, this is not the man you're going to marry. You know this relationship is not for you, but because you want to have companionship until you can get a better companion, you are holding up space for your husband. Your husband can't find you. He can't see you because you're over here holding space for somebody who you're not meant to be with. And again, I think all of us can probably relate to moments in our lives where we said, oh no, God, I just want to hold on to that thing. Matter of fact, y'all probably have seen that meme on social media, right? Where it's like the little kid and she has her bear in her hand. And then you have like, I guess, Jesus, and he's got like a bigger bear behind his back. And she don't want to give up the bear, but he's like, if you just give me that one, I'll give you a bigger one. Like, so many of us are in these moments right now. We don't want to give up what we got because we're afraid that there's not something better ahead, or we don't know what's going to be ahead. And so I just really want to encourage us, like, lean into whatever God is calling you to do. Transition with grace, because as long as you are living, there will always be greater ahead of you. That is the belief that I truly believe, that you can't, Diane said it earlier, God wastes nothing. You're not losing anything, even when you feel like you are losing, right? When I first moved to Atlanta, my move to Atlanta looked like me giving up my 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, spacious apartment, having my own space, my own office, to moving in with my mother-in-law until we could get settled in and figure out where we're going to live. And a lot of people would say, oh no, I'm not moving back home. I'm not moving in with my mother-in-law, back in with my parents. A lot of people would do that, but think about what you're missing out on. Like, because you won't make that transition and sacrifice a little bit, you'll never get a lot. You'll never get a lot because you're settling into saying, oh, I'll just take this because I'm too scared of making that change. One thing about me is I've never been afraid. I've never been afraid to try new things. Because of that, I can look at my resume and say, Andromeda has worked at, let me just name some of the places I've worked at, okay, in my lifetime. I worked at Tropical Smoothie, McDonald's, I've worked at Office Depot. I have worked at a t-shirt printing company. I have worked in a bakery. I have worked as an accountant, got my degree in accounting. I have worked for the state of Florida in 3 different agencies: Department of Environmental Protection, Department of Consumer Services, and Department of Corrections. Because I worked for the Department of Corrections, I was able to actually do an audit of multiple prisons in the state of Florida, and I got to actually visit prisons, go into the prisons and audit them and actually see what it's like to be inside of a prison, which I know I'll never want to be in for real. But it was like I got to experience that, right? Because when I first started, I decided to pursue my purpose. I started a blog. Because I started that blog, I was able to get my first speaking engagement. And I had never spoke before, but a woman read my blog and felt like I had something to say. And without ever having the experience of speaking, she invited me to speak at her event in front of 100 women. And after I was done speaking, that I got a standing ovation. My first time ever speaking, okay? And then I went into writing books, and then I went into just becoming a radio personality. Like, I've never been afraid of trying new things. So my life is filled with experiences, right? Like, there's so many things that I've seen and experienced, so many people that I've met. Like, how many people know how to print a t-shirt? How many of us know how to bake? How many of us know how to properly open up a radio show? How many of us know these things? We don't. A lot of us don't know a lot of things because we won't try new things. And I've been transitioning my whole life from one thing to the other because I haven't been afraid to try new things. So when I get to the end of my life, my resume gonna be full of stuff. Like, I'm gonna have done a lot of things in my life, and I think that's what we all should be aiming for. Like, that's what life is about. It's making the most of it, not being afraid to try and not being afraid to move on to new things and new spaces and new environments. That's what life is about. But moving with grace, transitioning with grace, right? I also want to say this thing too, because it popped up in my head. When it comes to our relationships with others, some of us feel like when the season is up, that must mean that something's wrong with that other person, that person is a bad person, right? Sometimes literally when we want to stay in spaces and God is telling us to move, again, we start to create tension. We start to create tension. We start to create chaos, conflict, right? So think about it like this. You're in a relationship with somebody and God is saying the season is up, but you're saying I'm gonna stay here. So now God has to put things in the space to make you move. And most of the times those things are going to make you uncomfortable, right? But does that mean necessarily because now that person is acting, we'll say, well, they're acting different towards you. Or maybe they said something to you that was offensive to you. Or maybe they stopped showing up for you the way that you want them to. Sometimes that doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that it's time. God is saying it's time for you all to go on your own separate paths. The season is up. Like, I fully believe that God has purpose for all of us, and he's always moving all of us in the direction that he needs us to go in towards the destiny that he has created for us. And so sometimes, again, we will end relationships with people and carry this bitterness in our heart or grudges in our heart, feeling like, oh, I thought that they were going to be my friend forever. Or I thought that was going to be my husband forever. Or I thought whatever it was going to be. And we miss out on opportunities to, again, go through life being able to maintain connections. Like, you don't have to hate people and no longer have a relationship with them. You also don't have to badmouth them to other people. Like, you don't have to do that. I was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta the other day because one of my members in She Wins Society, she got me hooked back in. Y'all, I had stopped watching Real Housewives after, I think Nene left. But I got back in today, and what I saw was Cynthia and Leon. Their relationship is so beautiful to me. They share a child together, and Cynthia said they're like best friends. They're like sister and brother at this point. Like, he can come to her house and stay the night, and she still has another man, and it's like nothing. Like, they are cool with one another. I think that's a beautiful thing. How many of us in relationships with people and we hate them? Like, we talk bad about them. We can't see a way through. I'm quite sure when they separated, maybe it wasn't as amicable. I don't know. Maybe they didn't really care for each other. Maybe they were really hurt by that separation. But when you transition with grace and you don't say things that you don't mean out of the heat of the moment, and you don't beat people down in those separations, you do create space for that to turn into something better than you thought it could be. Which is, again, the conversation we've been having, growing through what you're going through and transitioning with grace is like, you never know. That person might not have meant to be your husband forever. Maybe that person was meant to be your best friend all along. Maybe that person was meant to be the person that came into your life just for you to procreate, to birth this beautiful, amazing human being that's meant to change the world. And that's all y'all were meant to do. Some of y'all don't like that conversation though, because we are built to believe that, okay, you lay down with somebody, then that's who you're supposed to be with forever. Or you marry somebody, that's who you're supposed to be with forever. We don't want to embrace the thought that not everything's meant to be forever. Most things in life are not supposed to be forever. Most things. And I remember my sister saying when it comes to my nephew that, like, her, even though her and her child's father is no longer together, she believes that they did come together for the purpose of bringing her son into the world because he's such an amazing human being. And when you can kind of just sit back and look at it like that person that you were with, even if you don't like their ways, and even if it didn't work out for you, if you're a mother and you can look at your child and say, this is an amazing human being, that person would not exist without that relationship. It just wouldn't. Your child would not exist without that relationship. So you get to choose your perspective on everything. You get to choose to say, again, I'm going to transition out of things with grace, or I'm going to carry bitterness in my heart. I'm going to be angry about it. I'm going to be mad at God for it. Like, everything in life has a purpose, a reason, and a season, y'all. We have to learn to embrace that. That also makes me think about the people who are giving Portia so much crap about her ending this marriage, as far as we know, with Simon. I commend Portia, because I just think that people who go through life who are willing to take chances and risks and follow their heart, I just feel like they are the happier people in life. Maybe things don't work out, and maybe people don't appreciate the fact that, they transition maybe more often than others. But I just think that that's what life is about. Like, so many of us are playing it so safe that we don't allow ourselves to have experiences, right? Like we just don't allow ourselves to follow our hearts, to connect with people, even if it's just for a couple of months. If you had a good time, then what's wrong with that? Like you had a good time, you enjoyed yourself. Don't end things like on a negative note if you don't have to. I firmly believe that. Don't end things on a negative note. Don't carry bitterness and anger in your heart. Don't hold grudges. Don't be mad at God because he ended it sooner than you thought he would end it. Just move forward. Also, another example of this is our good sis Risa Tisa. I mean, how can we not talk about Risa Tisa? To me, Risa Tisa is the perfect example of what it means to be authentic and to understand that your vulnerability is a strength. So many people are mad at themselves right now because they have stories similar to Risa Tisa, but they weren't brave enough to share it. Sis shared her story. She did whatever was on her heart to do. It might look crazy to people, but she decided to push that button on TikTok, share her story. 50 videos later, I just saw she was on Tamron Hall. They said she got signed by CAA. I saw a thread on Instagram where people were just talking about how there are some people who've been working their whole lives to get signed by CAA or to get these opportunities that she's getting. And they're a little bitter about it. But I firmly believe that what's for you is for you. Because when you are showing up authentically, when you are sharing your truth, when you are transitioning with grace, that's how you allow yourself to be blessed, man. Like, she shared her story without, naming people by name, right? She just shared her story from her own experiences. And now she is getting these amazing opportunities that people spend their entire lives trying to get to. And so I think that there's so much inspiration in that as well. Like, the relationship didn't work out, but what did you learn? Not only what did you learn, but how can you take what you've learned to help other people? That's what we're here to do, y'all. That is what we're here to do. You're looking at your experience like, oh my God, that man, he scammed me. He was a liar. He did all these things to me. Now I'm just sitting over here being bitter and angry and I'm going to say I hate all men. Instead of saying, I'm going to write that book. Right? I'm going to write that book and I'm going to teach women the red flags that I saw to help them avoid going down the same path. Like, that's what we're here to do, y'all. Your testimonies, your trials, your struggles, they're not just about you. And the sooner you figure that out, the sooner you'll be successful. The sooner you choose to take your pain and transform it into purpose, the sooner you'll get to the heights that you're trying to reach. Because some of us are trying to pretend like we're not struggling. We're trying to pretend like we're not going through these transitions. We're trying to pretend like everything is coming easy for us. And that's why we're not getting where we want to be. Because actually, if we're being honest too, the thing that Risa Tisa shows is that people appreciate transparency and relatability. No one can relate to anybody's life being perfect. Nobody can relate to that because nobody's life is perfect. Nobody can relate to things always coming easy or never having a struggle or never being lied to or never falling into a situation where you were naive or never making a mistake. No one can relate to that because we all make mistakes. We've all been naive before. We all have seen red flags and continue to walk in that path anyway. We've all done that. That's why she's had millions of views. That's why she's had so much support because people are sitting back saying like, dang, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. So for those who are feeling like a little bitter, having a little salt in the pants because Risa Tisa is getting these opportunities, I just say be inspired by sis. Like, don't do what she did because obviously that was for her, right? Like, you cannot duplicate what she did. You'll never be her, but you can be inspired to be yourself. Do what God is calling you to do. Do what God is putting it on your heart to do. Show up in the world the way God has showed you. Even those of us who do music, like I was just listening to Naya's song earlier, which was really good. Naya, go ahead and shout your song because I cannot wait. I cannot wait until it's available for download.
Hi, you guys. Yes, I'm Miss Naya Nicole, here to spark your soul. I am dropping my new single called Out of Breath, possibly this Friday, so stay tuned.
Yes, Out of Breath by Naya Nicole. Y'all stay tuned for real. When it drops, I'm gonna share it so that y'all know about it because I listened to just a little bit. It's really good. And even just watch some of her process as the song came to life. But like it's certain moments in her song when she's like when she talked about being from the Bronx, like people can relate and resonate when you're talking about your story, your life, your experiences. We are not as different as we think we are. We are a lot more alike. Like there's nothing new under the sun, y'all, for real. Like we've all experienced similar things just in different ways. So take your gift, whether that be music, whether that be writing, whether that be storytelling, like Risa Tisa, because that's what people have been saying too. Like she's a great storyteller. Most of us couldn't tell our story in her way because we're not that great at telling stories, right? We're just not that great in keeping people engaged for 50 episodes in order to get them through the end. She's skilled at that. That's her gift, right? So figure out what your gift is and then capitalize on that, right? Lean into that and share your story through your gift. That could be art, that could be music, that could be writing, that could be dancing, that could be anything. Just figure out what your gift is and then lean into that. Share your story through it, and I promise you, you will be successful. And I got more testimonies on that. I know we got to take a quick music break, y'all. We will be right back. This is She Wins Radio Show on 101 TKO Radio. You are tuned into 101 TKO Radio, and this is the She Wins Radio Show with your favorite coach, Andromeda. Y'all, we are coming down to almost like the last 30 minutes of the final show. Oh, I am so excited and also just feeling like, oh, I'm going to miss you guys in this space. At the same time, I have an array of emotions going on, but mostly excitement. And let me tell you why. On the break, I was thinking to myself about how do we know when it's time to transition? And I would say that some of the things that you can look for is one, when you have peace in your mind, when you think about what's after that, right? That's how you know. So like right now, I feel joy in my heart. I feel excitement. And there's a lot of times when I've transitioned in life where I did not feel like that. And also had to look back and say, oh, Andromeda, you gave up on that prematurely. Because sometimes we do that, right? Sometimes we give up on things prematurely because they get difficult, because we don't like the way that things are going. So this is how you know if you're meant to transition, because sometimes we're confused. We're looking for some kind of confirmation or sign from God to tell us, like, is this the choice I'm supposed to make? Because me making the choice in my show was not an easy one. Like that came with a lot of prayer, a lot of fasting, going back and forth in my mind about it, literally battling in my spirit, like, I want to do it, I want to stay. But the fact that I have peace in my heart lets me know that I'm on the right path. So look for that. Look for peace. Do you feel peace when you think about letting go of that job? Do you feel peace when you think about ending that relationship? Do you feel like there's something greater ahead for you when you make that decision? So that's one thing to look forward to. Also, pay attention to the discomfort you feel. So there are two kind of discomforts we feel when we are in the middle of a transition or when we are pursuing a goal. The first discomfort that we feel is just the fact that we're growing, right? Sometimes we think that we need to give up on something because it's hard. That's not true. Growth is difficult. Something being hard is not an indication that it means you should give up on it. I'm going to say that again. Something being hard is not an indication that you should give up on it. This applies to whatever goals you want to reach, whatever dreams you have, whatever visions you want to manifest, your relationships, your marriage. Just because it's hard does not mean that you should give up on it. But if you constantly see that God is not creating a path forward, that is your sign that it's time for you to move on from that space. So, for example, we talked about jobs, right? You've been working at this job for 10 years and you've been giving it the best that you've got. You have been working on your personal development. You've been learning new skills. You've been getting positive responses from your performance reviews. You've been doing all the things, but you're in the same position you was when you started, and they just will not elevate you. God is not letting you experience a path forward to stay in this space. It's time to move. It's time to move. What I have learned from walking in my purpose for the last 10 years is that when God wants me to stay in something, he will create a path forward. So with She Wins Society, I have been uniting and empowering women for the last 10 years. And there are so many times on this journey when I wanted to give up, y'all. My bank account was looking funny. I was feeling like I wasn't getting the engagement I wanted to get on social media. Like things was just rough in some moments. I mean, I would be sitting in my car in tears. I'd be telling my husband, I'm done with this. And then an order will come through. And then an opportunity will show up, right? I can actually think of a particular moment when I was feeling very low. I was feeling like, the money wasn't there. I wasn't being able to see like how it was going to continue on. And then I had been hosting a class called 30 Days to Becoming an Empowered Woman, a group coaching program, 30 Days to Becoming an Empowered Woman. And I got an email from a woman who had taken my class or my coaching program, and she wanted to be able to share the information that I shared in that program with a small group of women in Chicago. I'm living in Orlando at the time. So she asked me if I would create workbooks from my program, and she paid me to do that. That was one of the largest invoices that I've sent out in my career. I sent it out, she paid it immediately, and I went from feeling like, oh my God, I don't have enough, to having more than enough in an instant. And so some of us are right there on the verge of a breakthrough like that, but we're feeling like, oh my God, it's so dark, it's whatever, I can't get through it, so we give up. However, again, when you're meant to do something, right in those moments when you feel like it's time to give up, God is going to create a path forward. He's going to send you somebody. He's going to send you a message. He's going to send you an invoice. He's going to send you an opportunity. He's going to send you something that keeps you in that thing, that lets you know, oh, no, it's not time to give up yet. But in those moments when it is time to transition, that's when you're going to start seeing a whole bunch of roadblocks and obstacles and just things that are letting you know, like, okay, you can't keep going down this path. This is the wrong direction. So those are the things you need to pay attention to. If you've continuously tried to keep going down a road and you keep running into walls, like consistently, that's not the path that you're meant to go through. If it's continuously causing you pain, heartbreak, distress, stress, aggravation, anxiety, frustration, whatever it is, that's not the path that you're meant to go down or continue to go down. Also, if you feel like the thing that you are doing is keeping you from what you feel like God is trying to get you to focus on in a particular season, that's also not what you're called to do. So those are the things that you can really consider on this path through life. Like, sometimes we aren't sure. Definitely, I can encourage you to pray and fast in those moments. That's also one way that you transition with grace, because some of us are moving off of emotion. We're moving impulsively. I would encourage you, before you make any major decision in life, whether that is to leave a job, start a business, create something new, give up on your gifts and talents, transition where you're living, right? If you decide to make a big move, before you do that, I would encourage you to really take the time to pray on it and fast. Like, really allow yourself to hear from God so that you can clearly see the signs and receive confirmation about what you're meant to do. Don't ever move off of emotion, because you'll have greater peace in your heart about your decision when you know you didn't make it impulsively. When you know that the signs you saw were clear, the confirmation you received was clear, then you can have peace about it. And then that way, as you transition, even though it's uncomfortable, you'll know that there is greater ahead. Okay? So that's something I definitely want us to keep in mind as we continue to move through life, is take your time with your major decisions. Move with grace. Pray about that thing. Fast if you need to. But just be certain in your major decisions. Don't be quick to give up on something because it feels uncomfortable today. It might not feel uncomfortable tomorrow. It might not feel uncomfortable in 5 minutes. Okay? So allow yourself to keep going. All right? Also, I wanted to share with you today, because this is the last show, I wanted to update you on some things that you can look forward to with me as we move through this journey, through She Wins Society, through this journey of connecting with one another, through this journey of empowering one another. Here are some ways that you can connect with me beyond the She Wins radio show. So one of the first things I want to share with you is that Stepping into Sisterhood, the Ultimate Virtual Empowerment Experience, is scheduled for March 24th, 2024, so this year, from 12:30 to 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 12:30 to 5 p.m. We have multiple different speakers who are coming to share with us. And so if you are not familiar with Stepping into Sisterhood, it's our annual empowerment event that brings women from around the world together to have these real, honest, and vulnerable conversations about the things that most of us can relate to in life. And so this month, or this year rather, our conversations this year are all about helping us to navigate through difficult times in life. So I'm going to share with you what our panels are going to be for this year. The first one is fighting back against self-doubt, depression, and shame. I think all of us can probably relate to having moments in life where we doubted ourselves, right? Where we felt depressed or we experienced feeling shame. The second one is navigating motherhood and entrepreneurship. I'm not a mother yet myself, but as an entrepreneur, I I don't know a lot of years how I would have done it if I would have had a child. I probably would not have continued to do it because I think I don't know. I think it would have been difficult. So I think I definitely want to salute and commend all the mothers out there who are doing all the things, right? You're managing to raise your babies along with chasing your dreams, along with building businesses, along with working jobs, along with being in relationships, along like I salute you, sis, because I don't take for granted that what you do on a daily basis is challenging and difficult. So we want to have these conversations about navigating motherhood entrepreneurship, also making the most of your single season. Because some of us right now are feeling really down because we don't have a partner, we don't have a husband, or whatever the case may be. But there are things to do in your single season to not only prepare for marriage, but also learn to love yourself more and to make the most of your life. Like, again, every season of your life has purpose. And if you can embrace that idea, then instead of just like sitting around waiting and moping and being sad because you don't have a person, you will make the most of that season. So we're going to talk about that. Creating financial security with multiple streams. I think it's a conversation that's definitely relevant to today with these high behind prices at the gas, grocery store. Oh my God. I just feel like I was having a conversation with a friend the other day about how when I was in college, my mom would give me like $25 for groceries and I would go to Walmart and rack up. Okay. Like that is not, I don't know what I could get for $25 these days. Probably maybe a pack of chicken and a box of rice. Like I'm not going to get very much. I'm not going to get very far with $25. So we want to know about how to have financial security through multiple streams. And honestly, these days, you need multiple streams. You need to have multiple streams. And then also keeping your cup full and beating burnout. So those are the topics we are talking about, Stepping in Sisterhood. Save the date, March 24th, 2024. You can find more information about this event at SheWinSociety.com once it is announced on the website, but you are one of the ones to hear it first, so just save the date for now. Also, I am being honored with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award at Wild Inc.'s Ignite Her Luncheon on March 16th in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Tickets to that event are still available at wildinc.org. Also, I am speaking at the Women to Woman Summit this weekend. Women to Women Network is hosting a summit for women. You can find more about that event at womentowomanNetwork.com. And I am going to be in New Orleans during Essence Fest. Y'all, who's going to Essence Fest this year? I'm so excited. I've only been to Essence Fest one other time. This year, I'm going to be participating in an event where I'm being honored at Essence Fest. So you all have heard, I have a lot going on, y'all. I have a lot happening. And so I'm excited about all the things that are coming up for me. And I'm believing that everything has a reason and purpose. I want to say this too, because I don't think I've shared this. I want to thank Chelsea for inviting me. Or actually, I don't even say invited me. I pitched her. I said, Chelsea, I think we should have our own radio show. This was after I was a guest on her show and got to kind of experience being in here. And it was feeling like a vibe. I'm like, okay, this is cool. So I'm like, Chelsea, I think we should have a show together, right? And then she was like, well, that wasn't really her idea. And so it turned into me having my own show, which was really scary because I'm like, I could bounce off of you and talk to you all day. It's easier to talk to other people than it is to have your own show. So I was really nervous about that, but I leaned into it. And I want to say that I needed this show. I needed this show because of two reasons. One, like I said, when I moved here to Atlanta, although I felt peace about my decision, there were still some questions that I had. And so once I got here and I immediately got an opportunity to have a radio show, it felt like God was saying, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. So I appreciated that confirmation because it helped me to settle in a little bit better. Also, this show helped me to find my voice again. Even though I've been a motivational speaker for the last, I would say like nearly 10 years, I had silenced my voice for a few years and I hadn't been as vocal because of some losses and failures that I had experienced. I actually was fighting through imposter syndrome and feeling like my voice wasn't as valuable, or I didn't have anything to say, or that what I had to say wasn't worth, people hearing. And so being able to get back behind this mic and being putting myself in a position to have to open my mouth and speak and say things that I felt were valuable, and then to also receive feedback from others who were telling me that my show was great and that they gleaned something good from it, and hear my mom tell me that she's showing up and she's listening every week, and that I'm doing such a good job with it, it helped to rebuild my confidence and my voice. And so as I'm thinking about all these different events that I'm now going to be speaking at, including the Women Are Dope conference on April 20th, which I'm the keynote speaker for, I just feel like this radio show was preparing me for all of the things that God has for me. So although, again, it was short-lived, much more short-lived than I thought it was going to be, it had a purpose. And I really want to encourage us all to look at our lives and the things that we're experiencing just like that, y'all. Like, it has a purpose. Even if the chapter is shorter than you thought it was going to be, it has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. So, again, make sure that you are looking at things from a perspective of there's a reason for every season, that God has a plan for your life that's greater than you can imagine. And sometimes you are going to experience things because it's your training ground. It's preparing you for the things you've been praying for, the purpose that God has for you, or the goals that you're striving to reach. Be willing to understand that and then gracefully move through the different changes that you experience. I want to also share with you from the Ross Center 7 tips for coping with transitions in life. Okay? So one of the things that they share is to practice self-care. And y'all know that I am a huge advocate for self-care. Like, I'm one of those people who believes that prioritizing self-care is not selfish, that you need you to win. So the better that you are, the better that you feel, the more confident that you feel, the healthier and stronger that you feel, the better you're going to be for everything. Your relationships, your goals, your responsibilities, your family, your community, your purpose. It's all dependent upon you taking good care of you, okay? So some of the things that you can do when you are experiencing these transitional moments in life is to take time to just focus on you, right? Like, focus on your personal development. Focus on improving yourself, because, again, we talked about how transition is a part of growth. It's a part of leveling up, right? And so you have to prepare yourself for where you're going. Oh, and which makes me think about this. Sometimes we get mad at God when he sit us down, don't we? We be so mad when he sit us down, when he isolate us, when he start taking things away. We get so upset. But do you understand that those moments, those seasons are so you can focus on yourself, so that you can improve yourself, so that you can become a better person, so that when you do go to that next level, you won't sabotage it, you won't ruin it, you won't destroy it. Do you understand that? Like, these seasons are necessary, y'all. They're necessary. When I think about the younger version of myself and now, even comparing this transition that I'm currently in, my reaction and response probably would have been a million times different. I'm so grateful for the growth that I have experienced and the wisdom that I have gained over the years from experiencing multiple transitions, to the point now where I can move with grace, where I can have excitement for it, where I can look at it from a positive perspective. So when God starts moving stuff away, when he starts taking things away, when he starts putting you in these quiet spaces, in these isolated spaces, please know that that's not him abandoning you. That's not him giving up on you. And that's not him punishing you. That's really him putting you in position to focus on you. Turn that mirror and look at yourself, because you've been pointing your finger at everybody else. Oh, it's my mama's fault. It's my daddy's fault. It's my baby daddy's fault. It's this person's fault. It's that person's fault. It's my friend's fault. Those moments so you can turn the mirror at yourself and take a good look at you and say, what's my fault? What is my fault? What is it that I can improve upon so that I can stop attracting toxic relationships? What can I improve upon so that I can communicate better? What can I improve upon so I can feel more confident in myself? What can I improve upon so I'm not jealous and envious of other people? What can I improve upon? Because the levels you're trying to reach are going to require you to be a better version of yourself, period. You can't get there without being a better version of yourself. Because if you were to get, and that's God's grace, because if you were to get there, think of some of us, let's think about this. We're looking at these celebrities that have these large followings. We're looking at Rita Tisa, who overnight, she's like, it seems to be an overnight success, and now she has all these people watching her. The way that she's responded to things like Charlemagne calling her big bad, which I'm quite sure was embarrassing and hurtful, the way she responded to that was with grace. She didn't shut down her social media. She didn't cuss him out. She handled it with grace. And so some of us, though, if we had a million eyes on us right now, what story would we be telling? How would we be behaving? How would we handle adversity? How would we handle when people hate on us? What would we do? Because if you have not got to a certain level of emotional intelligence, if you're carrying around a bunch of insecurities, then the message that you're going to share when you have these platforms are going to be negative. They're not going to be inspirational to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I love Cardi like the next person. I think Cardi is super inspirational. But Cardi was she's still young, but she's very young when she got thrusted into the spotlight. And so you got to see her respond to things in ways that probably weren't the best way for her to respond, right? And so I want us to, again, think about that. If you were to get today the fame or popularity that you're asking God to give you, would you be able to manage it? If you were able to get the money that you're asking God to give you, would you be able to manage it? Because if you don't know how to manage $10, you're not going to know how to manage $1 million. If you don't know how to handle when people say negative things to you now, you're not going to know how to handle it when 1 million people are making negative comments about you, when you're going viral and blogs are talking about you, right? You're not going to be able to handle that. So these moments, this time when God is pruning you, like, embrace that. What can you work on for yourself? If you can't see anything, no opportunity, things aren't working, ask yourself what you can work on for you, because that's what's going to open the doors. You working on you. That sometimes you are literally blocking your own blessings because you refuse to work on you. You're waiting for everybody else to see you the way you want them to see you. You're waiting for everybody else to support you when really you need to see yourself the way God sees you, and you need to support yourself. That's really sometimes what it is. So I really want to just encourage us to, again, like, focus on you. Focus on you. When life gets difficult, when life gets challenging, when you feel like you're experiencing seasons of transition, when you feel like God's taking things away or moving things around, that's not a time for you to get scared, for you to run, for you to start lashing out, for you to start projecting to other people, onto other people. It's just time to really just focus on yourself. Truly, that's what you need to be doing. Okay? Some other things I want to share with you about coping with life transitions is that it is normal for you to experience stress when these moments happen. Here's some things that you can do, though. Check your self-talk. That's another thing that you can do. Check how you're talking to yourself, which I think I've been saying the whole way. Like, review your perspective on that thing. We've heard the saying, you can look at the glass as half full or half empty. And if I'm being honest with you, there are still moments, even as a life coach, where I catch myself looking at the glass half empty. Like, I will literally get in my head and be like, all things are going wrong. What can happen next? Why is this happening to me? Life is so horrible. But then I got to check myself and ask myself, where are these thoughts leading me? Because they're not leading me anywhere. Like, it's not going to make me get up and work harder. It's not going to make me get up and go to the gym. It's not going to make me get up and do something positive. It's just going to keep me in a cycle of sadness and depression and darkness. And so you have a choice about how you talk to yourself. I actually had a coaching client one time who she had been kind of dwelling in this dark space for a long, long time. And she knew that she needed to practice self-care and have like a positive morning routine every morning. But she had convinced herself, like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of doing that? Because, nothing's ever going to get better for me. Which most of us, we do know what we need to do. We just have that battle within ourselves that pushes us to actually do the thing we know we need to do. And so by coaching with her and kind of just holding her accountable for, like, setting this morning routine that's going to set her on a positive path for the day, once she started to do that, all these blessings started coming her way. Like, her life completely transformed within weeks, I would say, when she decided to say, okay, I'm not going to keep talking myself out of doing this morning routine. I'm not going to keep talking myself out of loving myself. I'm not going to keep talking myself out of practicing self-care. I'm just going to do the thing. I feel resistant to it. I feel hesitant to it. I don't want to do it. My flesh is telling me just stay in the bed or keep staying in a negative cycle. But I'm going to just get up and I'm going to pray. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get up and I'm going to journal. I'm just going to do it. Because you know what life looks like doing what you've always done. You already know if you keep doing that, you're going to be exactly where you are. So once she just started to do the thing, she transitioned out of that dark space. Like I said, y'all, sometimes we stay in darkness longer because we hard-headed. Because we want to throw a tantrum. Because we want the storm to just pass us by. The storm is not going to pass you by. You got to go through the storm. You got to learn from the storm. You got to put your raincoat on, put your rain boots on, get your umbrella, and go. Because the storm's not just going to wash past you. You got to walk out of it. It's going that dark cloud over your head, it's going to keep following you till you decide to get from up underneath it. And that's a choice that we have to make when it comes to, again, transitioning in life. Every day we have choices every single day to keep doing what we've been doing or to do better. All of us have that choice. And so I hope that this message resonates with somebody. Like, again, if you're in a place where you're feeling uncomfortable, that could be one of two things. One, you're getting ready to go to another level. That's what some of us miss too. Like, it is always darkest and uncomfortable before your next level. Always. Always. Okay? So you're feeling like, oh my God, things are looking crazy, but really you just rose to another level. You're somewhere new. That's why it looks unfamiliar. That's what's uncomfortable, because you're on a new level. But also, the discomfort that you're feeling could be because you're choosing to stay in uncomfortable situations. And you can get up and move. You can literally move yourself out of the discomfort that you're feeling. So assess that, right? Assess your life, assess your choices. Think about how you can be a better person and how you can move through life in a better way. I think all of us can say that there are certain responses that we give to certain things that we have seen have never worked out for us, right? Like, it's never resulted in anything positive. If you can say that about how you respond to people when they offend you, or how you respond when things aren't going your way, if that's never worked for you, that response has never worked for you, do something different, sis. Do something different. We should all be striving to improve ourselves and understanding too that life doesn't just get better because you're getting older. That's not the way life works. We all know people who are 60, 70 years old who are worse off than they were when they were 20, who have not grown at all over the years because they have decided they're going to be who they're going to be and stay stuck in their ways. We all know people like that. Don't be that person. Like, life will just keep passing you by. Do not, because I used to think, I don't know if y'all can agree, but I used to think, like, when I was younger, like, oh, you know, as you get older, like, things just happen, right? You get the house, you get the family. Like, it's just something you're entitled to when you turn a certain age. Negative. Negative. If you don't work for it, if you don't work towards it, it don't ever happen. It will never happen. Faith without works is dead. So you got to believe that thing will happen, and then you got to work towards that thing. But if you choose not to do the work, do not be mad when you don't get it. Do not be mad when you're 60, 70 years old and you still working at McDonald's. Don't be mad. Do not be upset. Because I know I have me some 40-year-old goals. I told myself that in my 40s, I need to have my legs kicked up somewhere. I am not trying to be working too hard in my 40s. But in order for you to do that, you have to position yourself to do that. So I really want to encourage us to do that. The other thing I want to encourage us to do when we're in these transitional moments is to stay connected to positive sources of inspiration. Now, I want to say, I think Diane said that earlier too. Being able to talk to people who have been where you have been. That's the light at the end of your tunnel, right? That person is saying, oh, sis, like I've dealt with a relationship like that, or I've been in a toxic relationship or a narcissistic relationship or even a domestic violence relationship. I have, been laid off from my job. I have had friends cut me off. Whatever it is, like, you have to stay in these conversations that are uplifting you, that are encouraging you, that are showing you that greater is ahead. Because if somebody else got through it, you will too. But you have to be able to stay connected to people who are going to inspire you. If you're talking to people who everything is woe is me and life is all bad and things don't get better and you might as well just give up, those are the wrong people. Like, you got to get around people who always are believing that greater is ahead. Like, those are the people you want to have in your life. I feel like I heard somebody say, like, oh, I think it was Sarah Jakes. She said, watch out for people, and I'm not quoting her directly, but she said, watch out for people who don't handle like challenges well. She said, I win even when I lose. Hear that? I win even when I lose. That's a message, y'all. Because some of us are feeling like we losing when really we are winning. You ain't lose nothing. You lost nothing. It was just preparing you or pushing you to that thing that you really been praying for. You lost nothing. But she said, watch out for those people who they got bitter attitudes. They mad, they angry at the world when things don't go their way. Watch out for them. Those are not the people you want to be around. You want to keep a spirit of, I think even Nicki Minaj says that when stuff happens, you want to just kind of let it flow, like be light about things. You don't want things to be heavy on you. Just keep it light. Flow. Just flow with it. Flow with the transitions of life. Ride the wave, right? Ride the wave or the roller coaster. We've heard about that life can be compared to a roller coaster. You're going to have ups and downs, but just flow with it. You're going to have peaks and valleys. You're going to have ebbs and flows, but it's all part of the process. It's all has a purpose. Just flow with it. Just flow with it. And when you learn to flow with it, you get past the difficulty faster. You get past the discomfort faster when you just learn to flow. When you can look at that thing and be like, oh my God, this is uncomfortable. And I wasn't expecting this, but it'll be all right. All is well. Those are my favorite 3 words. All is well. Even when it look crazy, all is well. Even when I'm uncomfortable, all is well. All is well. It's always well. It's always well. If you can, again, embrace that spirit, you will move through life more gracefully. You will approach transitions more gracefully, and you will overcome obstacles more gracefully. It's all about living and moving with grace. And I know it's not always easy to do that, right? It's easier said than done. This is coming from somebody who's 38 years old, who has experienced a lot. So I know that if you're not my age, you might not be able to understand this wisdom that I'm sharing. But just take it, put it in your back pocket, and whenever you need it, pull it out and apply it, okay? Because it's all is well. All is well. It's going to be fine. It's going to work out. We spend so many, and this is the last thing I'm going to leave y'all with before we go. I want you to think about how many days of your life do you think that you spent stressing and worrying about things that never happened. I really want you to think about that. Like, how many days of your life did you waste focusing on the problem when you could have been finding the solution? Because when you are focusing on a problem, you cannot find a solution. You are blind to that thing. Like, your flesh is so anxious, you so upset, you so angry, you so mad about how it is, and you can't even see that another door is open. The solution right there. You are so upset about how things are going that you cannot see that there's something better right there in front of you. Right there. If you would just turn your neck and look, you would see it. How many of us do that? How many days of your life have you spent stressing and worrying about things that have never happened? Now ask yourself, do you want to keep living like that? Do you want to keep wasting your days? Because our time here on this earth is finite. It's finite. We are not going to be here forever. So make the most of your time here. Enjoy your life. Try new things. Move on to new things. Just be open to whatever God has for you. And live life with grace, with ease, with compassion, with love, with passion. But don't waste time dwelling on negativity. Don't waste time beating yourself up about your mistakes. Don't waste time being mad at God because things ended sooner than you thought they would. Don't waste time like that. There's always blessings to find if you just look around. There's always opportunities and possibilities if you just look around. There's always greater ahead of you if you just look ahead and stop focusing on what's behind you. Okay? So that's today's message. That is the final show on She Wins Radio. I do hope that over these last 4 months, I have shared things that have encouraged you, inspired you, and empowered you. I hope that this show has been an inspiration to you. And I just hope that we will continue to stay connected through this journey, through life together. So if you want to stay connected with me, make sure that you visit SheWinsSociety.com. Sign up for the email list for free. Make sure that you're following She Wins Society on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure that you are just staying connected, right? And we will continue to keep growing and winning together in the months and years ahead. Until we meet again, keep growing, keep glowing, and keep on winning. Thank you so much for joining me on She Wins Radio here at 101 TKO Radio. Love y'all. Bye.